Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a brand new episode of the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mayor Fatemi. We got a packed show lined up for you guys today. We saw the Denver Nuggets and Oklahoma City Thunder go to absolute war last night in Oklahoma City. I called it the biggest game in the NBA playoffs so far, and especially down the stretch. It did not disappoint. The Jokic-Shea battles continue, and it was the Oklahoma City Thunder grabbing Game 5 to take a commanding 3-2 lead in this series. We're gonna recap that game and discuss a little bit about what to expect in not only Game 6 but Game 7, which honestly, it's more likely that Game 7 happens than it doesn't. So we'll talk about both of those. From there, we're also talking about Jason Tatum, as his Achilles injury was confirmed last night. You guys saw me yesterday. I was a little bit upset. I was a little bit depressed. I was going through it a little bit. But I'm back. I'm much more level-headed. I'm much less emotional. Let's go and dissect this injury, how it affects Jason Tatum in the future, as well as preview this series a little bit. From preview Game 5, later tonight. From there, we'll also discuss the Indiana Pacers claiming their spot in the Eastern Conference Finals last night. Obviously, the Indiana Pacers are one of the best teams in not only the Eastern Conference, but in the NBA as a whole. And they take down Donovan Mitchell and the Cleveland Cavaliers, officially finishing a gentleman's sweep on them 5-1 or 4-1. And they claim they are the first team to push to the conference finals round. And then from there, we'll also discuss the Warriors and Timberwolves. This is a series that has been really disappointing in a way, and we have a lot to discuss here. We have a lot, especially with one player specifically. There is a lot to talk about with him, and we'll discuss a little bit about Steph Curry as well. We have discussed a lot of Steph Curry when it comes to this series, but especially with it coming to an end, possibly tonight, we have a little bit more to talk about with him. And yeah. Sorry about that. That's segment 4. And then for the last segment, we'll cover the key pieces. We'll cover the keys to Game 5 for not only the Boston Celtics, but the New York Knicks. Do the Celtics have an opportunity to force a Game 6 back in New York? Do they have a chance? And we'll give a sneak peek of the offseason as well, as some reports have already started to come out about teams interested in some of those players in Boston. But before we move any further, I'd like to remind you guys to please like and follow the show for more GSMC Sports Network content. Also, we get a number of questions from viewers that come in during the show, so to ensure that your question gets read on air, I ask that you use the tips and donations link at gsmcpodcast.net. This puts your question at the top of the list so that I see it, and it also really helps out the show. Again, the link is gsmcpodcast.net for all your questions and comments. We have to get back to business here because that was an unbelievable Game 5 last night between the Oklahoma City Thunder and Denver Nuggets. Normally, I don't start the show with a segment like this, and I'll tack usually 8 times out of 10. I'll normally be talking about Jason Tatum and the Boston Celtics right now. But this series earns it. This is a different series. This is a different time. These are two teams that are going back and forth. Two players in the MVP race that are putting it all out there and proving why they deserve to be in the MVP race. And it's Jokic, it's Shea, it's the Denver Nuggets, it's the previous 2 years ago NBA champions going up against the young bloods of the Western Conference, a team in the Oklahoma City Thunder that is scrappy, hungry for a championship. This is a phenomenal series. It has been all series long. All the first 5 games of this series have been unbelievable, and Game 5 continued to prove that. Just running down a little bit what happened last night. We had 6 guys in Oklahoma City go for double-doubles. Or not double-doubles. Scored double-digit points. We had a Shea Gilgeous-Alexander go off for 31. So when you look at it that way, the Nuggets took the Thunder's best shot last night. They really did. That was the best version of the Thunder that we've seen all series long. I know we saw Game 2 where It was a little bit more of a balanced attack. But when you have 6 guys as collectively that go off for 10 plus points, you have Jalen Williams that goes off for almost 20, finishing with 18, and you also have Shea to go off for 31 points. You not only have a number one guy that can go get you a bucket, the reliable bread and butter guy, but you also have a collective group of guys that shot unbelievably well last night. Caruso with 13, Lou Dort with 12, Isaiah Hartenstein with 15, Chet Holmgren with 14. Like, it was an all-around, well-balanced attack from this team. And then you had Jalen Williams, 9 rebounds, Chet Holmgren, 8 rebounds. Like, all the way down. Isaiah Hartenstein, 7, Shea, 6. You had guys that were going off for almost went off for double-doubles. Well-balanced stats. Everybody got a piece of the pie. Everybody was involved last night for the Oklahoma City Thunder, and it showed. It truly showed last night with these two teams. But the final score ended up being the Oklahoma City Thunder finishing this one, pulling this one out with a 112-105 victory over the Denver Nuggets. And it was shocking, really, especially in that fourth quarter. Over the last 2 games, the Oklahoma City Thunder have outscored the Denver Nuggets 62-38. If you're the Denver Nuggets, you have reason to worry here. If you're the Denver Nuggets, you need to find a way to stop this bleeding and turn this around, because it is the reason why you're losing games. You lost game 4 in the exact same fashion. You've just lost game 5 in the exact same fashion. Starting the fourth quarter with a 8-point lead, blooming it all the way up to 13 at one point in the third quarter. And then Oklahoma City just came out firing to start that fourth. It's funny. I was watching the game, and I'll just flip it to myself really quick. I was watching the game, and it was 90-84. And the Nuggets had really been dominating all second half, all game long. From the second quarter throughout the third quarter, they had just been dominating the game. Dominating on the offensive glass, dominating in the rebounding category as a whole. Jokic was going off. It was just pure domination. And then 2 minutes, I click off the screen for 2 minutes from a 90-84 score. It jumps to 90-90 like this. I scrambled to get the game back on, and thank the Lord that I did, because my goodness, what a finish that we saw in that game last night. We know that this is the Jokic-Shea duel in terms of the MVP race. This is the main storyline here in this game, or in this series. But last night, it was actually how the game transpired, how the game ended. Jokic and Shea just going back and forth, throwing haymakers at each other. Shea hitting fall-away jumpers. Jokic with fall-away jumpers, getting into the lane, bullying his way into the paint. Hunting mismatches, hunting out Chet Holmgren. He was hunting Chet Holmgren. There was a play where Alex Caruso was on him. Jokic was hunting all of the mismatches. The only player he didn't want on the court guarding him was Isaiah Hartenstein, who's really the only player that can guard Nikola Jokic somewhat. And even then, Nikola Jokic, we've seen him bully Isaiah Hartenstein into the post. So this is the problem with the Thunder. Jokic is a mismatch for you. When you have Jokic going off for 44 points, you have Jamal Murray go off for 28 points, you're basically expecting the Nuggets to win these games, right? You would think so. Except, of course, it didn't happen that way. And there's one culprit that I have to name drop that I have to call out here in this for how his performance played out. Aaron Gordon, you had a little bit of a struggle of a game, but it happens sometimes. Sometimes, as an X factor for this team, you're expected to shoot the ball a lot, or you're expected to shoot the ball at a higher volume. We expect you to take about 5 threes a game. You went 6 of 13, 1 for 5 from 3. It is what it is. Usually you go 3 for 5, 2 for 5. It is what it is. Last night you went 1. You're a big man. You're not really a shooter. You are a shooter. You're a blooming shooter, but your main job is not as a shooter. You're a big. You get into the paint. You rebound. You get put back dunks. You get offensive boards. That is your job. But you're the X factor of this series, so we'll give you a little bit of a pass. who I'm not going to give a pass to because of how poorly he's played, not only tonight, but in back-to-back games, is Christian Braun. Christian Braun, my God, 4 for 11 last game, 2 for 9 from 3. You got 7 free throws. That's the only reason why you got up to 17 points. Last night, 3 for 12, 2 for 8, 0 free throws. What are you doing on the court except just jacking up threes and missing them? That was every time Christian Braun touched the ball, you knew it was going to miss. There was not one time. I sat there and watched it. Every time I saw Christian Braun put up a shot, I was like, that's going to miss. And lo and behold, what happened? He missed. This is a Christian Braun that we know can play at a high level. We've seen him be a legitimate rotation guy, give this team some depth, give this team some spark. But Christian Braun has played horribly the last 2 games. And I don't care that he had 17 points in game 4. Why? Because he had 7 free throws and he went, 4 for 11 from the field. Like, come on. At some point or another, you have to put your foot down and say, come on, you have to shoot at a higher clip. And even last night, 3 for 12, 2 for 8 from 3. The team is relying on you down the stretch to hit shots, especially in that fourth quarter. They kicked the ball to you not once, but twice, and all of them were open threes. All of them. You weren't taking contested shots. You weren't taking fall away off your back foot threes like Jokic was, and Jokic pirouetting it over a Chet Holmgren. You're not doing that. You're hitting wide open practice threes, and you're missing them. So, he was the biggest. I don't know what is going on with Christian Braun. I'm not sure if he's hurt. I don't know if he's dealing with something, but 2 games now, he's been a pure disappointment. And even if you go further along, game 3, 8 points, 3 for 8 shooting. Like if you shoot at a lower clip like that, fine. Game 2, 3 points. Like you're just sitting there on the court and you're just like you're not doing. I guess they have you out there as a two-way player, and I 100% understand that. But my goodness, was I watching the game, and that was the one thing that kept coming to mind. Michael Porter Jr., you shot 2 threes at the end of the game. It is what it is. It is what it is. The Nuggets were already down by 6 points. You had the open shot. You take those shots every time down the stretch. It is what it is. It is what it is. What are you going to do? Michael Porter Jr., we know you can play at a better level than that. That was a tough game for you. You only had 2 points, and you only shot, you went 0 for 5 from 3. Okay. I mean, Russell Westbrook, another player that we're trying to figure out. Honestly, I could go down the list and call people out. I don't really want to. The biggest one that came to mind was Christian Braun because of how much he shot the ball and how horribly he shot the ball. Like, you can't be passed the ball time and time again down the stretch with open threes in a tight game when Jokic is giving it everything that he has. Jamal Murray is giving it everything that he has. Shea on the other side is giving it everything that he has. And the Thunder are coming back in the fourth quarter, giving you guys the business, and you have an open shot and you're just missing it. It's not that it's blocked. It's not that it's contested. You just flat out miss it. And it's one time, fine. Twice, fine. But multiple times, multiple games. It's just I'm not a Nuggets fan. I'm a Celtics fan. I keep my fandom out of this the best that I can. But my God, as a Nuggets fan, would I have lost my mind at Christian Braun last night? Plain and simple. I'm gonna leave it at that because the Nuggets had this game the same way that they had Game 4. But this one, they had this game. They had it. They had it for 3 quarters. They had it from the midway from the first quarter all the way through midway through the fourth quarter. They had it. And then they collapsed. And Jokic tried to pull him out. Jamal Murray tried to pull him out. Both teams, both players doing the best that they can, making shots. And then you lose the way that you did because the other team's depth decided to show up and yours didn't. That's what it comes down to in these games. Absolutely. That is what it comes down to in these games. And The Thunder now have an opportunity to go into Denver on Friday and put this series on ice. They do. Well, not Friday, Thursday. Say the Nuggets win. I think this Nuggets team will win Game 6. I think they're that good. I think Jokic is that good. I think they'll have a bounce-back game in Denver. I think David Adelman will have his team ready to go for Game 7 on Sunday. But, this is a Thunder's team that is going to be out for blood on Thursday. They will be ready to go. There will be sharks in blood-infested waters. They will be ready to go for this one. They already have their foot on the Tigers' neck in the Denver Nuggets, and they'll be looking to finish this game out tomorrow night. But I'm going to take a short break. Coming up next, we're going to switch gears over to the Eastern Conference and talk a little bit about the Boston Celtics. Talk a little bit about Jason Tatum's nightmare injury coming to fruition as he was announced to have he had Achilles surgery last night to repair that right Achilles tendon. We'll have a little bit to discuss about him and preview the game tonight between the New York Knicks and Boston Celtics, Game 5. You're watching the GSMC Basketball Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Don't go anywhere.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, some losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip, you choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mayor Fatemi. We are switching gears over from the Western Conference back into the Eastern Conference, and we're going to talk a little bit about the Boston Celtics and Jason Tatum. I'll talk about it a little bit right now. This is going to be about Jason Tatum rupturing his Achilles. And I know I talked in the last segment that I'm much more level-headed. The emotions are out of it. I'm much less emotional than I was yesterday. If you guys tuned into the show yesterday, I was a mess. I was not. Yeah, the best way to call it is I was a mess. I did not want to talk about it. I did not want just even talking about it made my skin crawl. It still feels like a nightmare. It feels like a bad dream at everything that's happening. A Celtics team that showed up and showed out, is playing hurt, is playing to the best that they can. Jason Tatum having a masterclass of a game, having one of his best all-time playoff performances in Game 4, trying to will his team back to Boston, trying to tie that series up at 2-2, going back to Boston. And then with 4 minutes to play, it's just... Before I move any further with this, I'm also going to preview Game 5 in the series. But before I move any further, I'd like to remind you guys to please like and follow the show for more GSMC Sports Network content. Also, we get a number of questions from viewers that come in during the show. So to ensure that your question gets read on air, I ask that you use the tips and donations link at gsmcpodcast.net. This puts your question at the top of the list so that I see it, and it also really helps out the show. Again, the link is gsmcpodcast.net for all your questions and comments. And everything is always greatly appreciated. It makes the show a little bit more interactive for all of us. So if you guys have any questions, any comments, anything to ask me or for me to comment on, to give my thoughts about, feel free to drop them in the chat. And they're always much appreciated. And I always welcome them because it makes this a lot much more fun for me to do. And Makes us more interactive as a whole. But let's get back to the eulogy that I have to give to my Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics that I grew up watching from day one. The team that brought me back, that brought me into the NBA world. This is a team that has fought tooth and nail all season long, has fought injuries, has come back from deficits, has given up deficits. Game 4 was just too much. For any Celtics fans out there, I know you guys know exactly what I'm talking about when I say this feels like the same old show that we see every time we see some success with the Celtics. Outside of last year, when they won the NBA title, if you go back to 2017, when we were supposed to have a super team back in the day with Gordon Hayward and Kyrie Irving and the young Jason Tatum, Jaylen Browns of the world, what happened in the first 5 minutes of the game? Gordon Hayward snapped his ankle. And then we saw Kemba Walker get hurt. We've seen Jason Tatum come back from 3-0 down. Then the Boston Celtics come down from 3-0 down against the Miami Heat in the Eastern Conference Finals. They force a Game 7 back in Boston. What happens in the first 30 seconds of the game? Jason Tatum rolls his ankle, and he's not the same player for the rest of the game. Celtics end up losing that series. 2020, Kemba Walker, that's what I was talking about. Kemba Walker gets hurt. You lose a lot of your players. 2018, Kyrie Irving gets hurt. Not Kyrie Irving. 2016. No. What am I thinking of? 2018 was Gordon Hayward. 2017 was Isaiah Thomas. The Isaiah Thomas year when they lost to Cleveland after the year that they had. They weren't really expect. 2017 was the year that Isaiah Thomas got hurt and we went to Eastern Conference Finals and we lost LeBron in Game 7. I don't know. Enough talking about this. Basically, what I'm saying is this is the same old show that we've seen for Boston Celtics fans in terms of luck, in terms of what happens down the stretch, especially in the playoffs. Something always goes wrong. This is the team that you know something is always going to go wrong, and you never know what to expect from this team. They go down 2-0 against the Knicks. They blow out the Knicks in Game 3. They hold a lead in Game 4. The Knicks come back, carried by Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson with a masterclass of a game. I said we were overdue for it. I thought it was going to happen in Game 3 and ended up happening in Game 4 when we saw the Jalen Brunson game going off for 40 points. We saw Mikal Bridges step up. We saw OG Anunoby step up. We saw Karl Anthony Towns step up. We saw Josh Hart step up in Game 2. These are all role players that all stepped up for the New York Knicks, and they are collectively why the Celtics are down 3-1 in this series. But nonetheless, you were down 2-1. Jason Tatum with a 40-point masterclass, playing his heart out, playing one of his best playoff performances that we've seen him play in his career. This is on par with the Game 6 against Milwaukee. This is on par with the Game 7 against the Sixers. This is on par with Game 4 against the Sixers. This is a Jason Tatum that was out to try and will this team back to Boston with a tied 2-2 series. Shut all the critics up. Put everybody back in their place to just sit and watch Jason Tatum play basketball. Everybody criticizing him. Oh, he's not doing enough. Oh, he's not carrying the team enough. This, that, and the other. Everything. He's not a real leader. This, that. And he comes out and scores 42 points. 20 points in the first half. Carrying the team. And then what happens. Mikal Bridges taking the ball away from Jason Tatum, going up for a dunk, and all you hear from announcer Mike Breen is on the other end of the court, Tatum is hurt. Tatum is writhing in pain. And then they cut the cameras to Tatum just completely writhing in pain, grabbing that right ankle, holding that Achilles. And you could doubt it at first. But then the clip came. There was a clip that started going around social media of Jason Tatum's, of another angle of Jason Tatum on that play, where you can clearly see Jason Tatum's calf recoil when he takes that step back. He takes a step back, puts all the pressure on that tendon, and it just snaps. It really sucks, and I'm sorry to use that harsh of a word, but this is a day that yesterday was a day where talking about basketball, at least for me, or talking about the Celtics, but in terms of any type of basketball, it just sucked. Because you just knew that your team was done. And it's not that it was in the regular season your team is done. It's not that it was, this team was not going anywhere and you lose your star player for 2 years. No. And we'll talk a little bit about this later. But the structure of this Boston Celtics team is going to change dramatically in the offseason. Expect a lot of trades. Expect a lot of players being let go. Expect the Celtics to not remove, but adjust the core of this Celtics team significantly. Do not be shocked if you see a Jaylen Brown trade. Do not be shocked if you see Derek White possibly gone. I think the only player that might be locked into, that might be maybe solidified in his contract, in his spot in Boston, is Jason Tatum. But Al Horford's probably going to retire this year and beyond. We're going to talk a little bit about this later on in the show because there is a lot to talk about in this topic. So that's why I wanted to split it up and give this segment off to Jason Tatum, talk about that injury, and then of course I talked 9 minutes about the Celtics team because that's what happens when this topic comes up. We got to preview Game 5. Plain and simple, the Knicks are going to win this. The Knicks are going to win Game 5. It's not going to be close. It's probably going to be a blowout. I could see possibly the Celtics make it an interesting, but it would have to come down to the play of Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown would need to show up and show out. The rest of the guys around the core guys have to step up in the moment. Hopefully this will be a little bit of a, hopefully this is just a lot of a celebration. Hopefully this is just a celebration in Boston tonight. Because we'll talk about this later, but this is probably the last time we're going to see this core together with these 5 guys in the lineup. So hopefully they show up. Hopefully they give Boston a show tonight. I got Jalen Brunson having a monster game, having a closeout game. Mikal Bridges as well. Karl Anthony Towns, I wouldn't be shocked if he had a 25-point, 10-rebound game. But like I said, this comes down to the Boston Celtics. We know who the Knicks are. We know how they're going to play. They're undefeated on the road. They're going to show up and show out in a closeout game. But this is about Jaylen Brown, how he's going to respond to Tatum's injury and all the criticism that he's been facing this series, because he's been facing a lot of criticism. Even though he's hurt, even though I haven't said it because I know he's hurt, but a lot of people have said it. Derek White, how are you going to step up? Peyton Pritchard, are you going to keep playing at a high level? Are you going to have that 6th man of the year type game that you had in Game 3 where you went off for 23 points? How is this Celtics team going to show up tonight? That is the question. And I would say, the Celtics have an opportunity. I wouldn't give them a high one. I'd probably say they have probably a 25-30% chance to win this game. But I'm picking the Knicks to win this. I'm picking the Knicks to end this series in Boston. End it. Let it go. Put us Celtics fans out of misery. If the Celtics miraculously win tonight and we get to see a Game 6, cool. That'll be fun. But put us out of our misery because we are truly in depression. I could say for all Celtics fans around that really are diehard and love this team, we are all in depression right now because we know what has come, what has happened. But I'm gonna put it aside. I'm gonna take a short break. Coming up next, we're gonna talk a little bit about the Indiana Pacers claiming their spot in the Eastern Conference Finals, awaiting the winner of this series in the conference finals. Then yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about the Pacers knocking out the Cavs and winning that Game 5. You're watching the GSMC Basketball Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Don't go anywhere.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mayor Fatemi. Getting into our next segment here, we're going to talk a little bit about the Indiana Pacers going into Cleveland last night and putting this series on ice. Officially finishing off the gentleman's sweep on the Cleveland Cavaliers as they claim their place in the Eastern Conference Finals. And the Eastern Conference Finals are set now. Well, no, they're not. I don't know why I just said that. They're waiting on the winner of the Knicks-Celtics series, but they're the first team to punch their ticket into the conference finals round from East and Western Conference. That could change tonight. They could be joined by the Minnesota Timberwolves. They could be joined by the New York Knicks. We'll see how those two series transpire, and we'll have a little bit to talk about for that series in the next segment here. But for this segment right now, we have to give Tyrese Halliburton his flowers. Tyrese Halliburton, even from a young player like Cooper Flagg mentioned Tyrese Halliburton's name and said he's the most underrated player in the NBA. And he couldn't be more right. He really is. This is a player that got labeled as the most overrated player by his peers. And honestly, what was one of the most shocking questionnaires I'd seen in a long time. Tyrese Halliburton is one of the best players in the league. He may have had a poor regular season. We may have seen a lot of those like 8 points, 8 rebounds, or 8 assists kind of games. We didn't really see him being efficient offensively in terms of scoring the ball. You can use that argument, and I agree with that. I can't say anything against that. Sorry about that, guys. I just wanted to fix. There's something going on in my room right now. But for Halliburton to step up the way he did in Game 5, 31 points for Halliburton in Game 5. To come back, to finish off yet another comeback for this Pacers squad, it's becoming more and more apparent every game that goes by again in this series, not only in this series, but in these playoffs, that the only way to beat this Pacers team is to simply outscore them. You're not going to play better defense than them. You're not going to stop them. The only way to stop this team is to beat them at their own game. That is how the Celtics did it last year. Outscoring them down the stretch. They had multiple comeback games in that conference final series. And you ask any Celtics fan, including myself, but ask any of them, and they will say, there was a quote from Jaylen Brown, this is the toughest 4-game sweep that we've had in our careers, in his career. It is the truth. It really was. Every game was close. It should have been closer to a 6 or 7 game series, but it was the offense of the Celtics that was just better than the Pacers, and the Celtics just hitting more shots down the stretch than the Pacers. I wonder who that reminds me of this year. The Pacers are truly taking that next step right now. They're truly, I think, with the Celtics now most likely out of the playoffs, I think they're the team in the East to come out of the East. They're the team, they're my favorites to meet whoever comes out of the West, whether it's the Nuggets, whether it's the Timberwolves, whether it's the Thunder. I think it's really between the Thunder and T-Wolves right now, but we'll see how the Nuggets are still in it. The Nuggets will have something to say about what happened in these last 2 games. I truly believe it. But This is about Indiana. This is about how they played down the stretch. 33-20 in the third quarter, dominating the third quarter. And like I mentioned, Tyrese Halliburton, my goodness, is he one of the most underrated players in the NBA right now. He really is. A player that makes the guys around him better, a facilitator, an offensive playoff scorer. You can call him Playoff Hallie if you wanted to, because in the regular season, he doesn't play like this. He's probably the best playoff performer so far this year. Maybe outside of a Jalen Brunson. Who else could you throw in that category? Brunson. You could throw Anthony Edwards. You could throw Jokic, maybe. Those are probably the only three guys I can think of that I would put in the same conversation as Tyrese Halliburton right now. Maybe Jason Tatum before he got hurt, but now that Jason Tatum's hurt, you can't really throw him in that conversation anymore. But Halliburton is truly having a great playoff. He hasn't had those 40-point games yet, but he has had the 30 and 10s, the 25 and 12s, the near triple doubles that he always has with. He's phenomenal. He's just a phenomenal player. And the way, like, the one thing that I have to consistently say, the way he makes the guys around him better, the way he makes Andrew Nembhard better, Ben Shepherd, Aaron Nesmith, Miles Turner, TJ McConnell, Obi Toppin, these are guys that are not getting a lot of minutes on other teams. And when you have, we saw Shai Gilgeous-Alexander talk about this in his post-game interview last night. The way, and this is, the Pacers emulate the Thunder very well. The way that you can go 7-man deep into your rotation and can not rely, but those guys can all go off for 10 plus points. The way you can have 10 guys in your rotation, can go 10 guys deep in your bench. It keeps you fresh. It keeps you awake. It keeps the fast-paced tempo that both of the teams love to play with, the Pacers and the Thunder. The Pacers love to play at fast-paced. They love to push the ball up the floor. And it's not really, I wouldn't say general basketball, but it's not the standard of the playoffs. Usually in the playoffs, the game slows down, defense is set up, and it's a big reason because these players can't just run around like they normally do because they're tired. Not only have they just played a 6-7 month regular season, but now they're playing in a much more physical and just tougher playoff games. Playoff games are just like another level compared to regular season. So this is about Tyrese Halliburton. This is about the Pacers team. Pacers, easily the most dangerous team in the Eastern Conference left now. They are going to be a team to be reckoned with for the next year, for years to come, because they're so young, because of how good their core is. I think the addition to Pascal Siakam on this team is so unbelievably underrated. In that offseason, when they added Pascal Siakam, my goodness, did this team go from they were never a bad team, but they went from good to great. And Pascal Siakam went off for 21 points last night. Usually we see either Siakam or Miles Turner going off for this team. And it was the play of the double big between both of these teams. Evan Mobley and Jared Allen versus Siakam and Turner. We saw in game 2? Yeah. When Miles Turner went off for 25 points. And last night it was Siakam's show going off for 21. This is how these two teams have battled back and forth, have thrown haymakers at each other. And this is on the doorstep, in aftermath. This isn't even an aftermath. This is the outcome in a game where Donovan Mitchell went off for 35 points. Like, at some point or another, you have to feel for Donovan Mitchell, man. Multiple 40-point games, close out in Game 5 on a bad ankle because we saw him turn that ankle in Game 4. On a bad ankle, show up and still dropping 35 points. He's playing phenomenal basketball. Thank you. I don't want to mispronounce your name, but Gout. I'm sorry. Keep doing the great work, man. Thank you, bro. But the way that the Pacers are playing right now, please don't crucify me for mispronouncing your name. I'm so sorry. I'm actually so sorry. But this is a Pacers team that is going to be around for a while. They really are. I think they're going to give you, I think we can pretty much say 90, we're all in agreement here that 98%, we're all 98% sure that the Knicks are going to win this series against the Celtics. They're up 3-1, unless this somehow lights a fire under Jaylen Brown, and then if that happens, we have a whole other conversation to have, because the Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown conversation resparks once again. But let's say that this ended up happening between the Pacers and the Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals. The Pacers are absolutely wiping the Knicks in 6 games. It's not going to be close. It's really not. I could see those games where Jalen Brunson goes off for 40 points. I could see a game where Karl Anthony Towns goes off for 30 and no, he won't rebound. So the only way that the Knicks can beat the Pacers is if they shoot from outside. If they start targeting, if Mikal Bridges can get it going early, they have to use the Jason Tatum method. They have to use the Celtics method, and they have to shoot from outside to beat this team. Like I said, the only way to beat this Pacers squad is to outscore them. You're not going to play better defense. You're not going to play good enough defense to hold them down for very long. You may get 1 or 2 stops here and there, but it won't stay. This team will go on runs. We saw them go on a 20-0 run in a blink, and we've seen it multiple times. We saw it in Game 5 against the Bucks in the first round. We saw it in Game 2 against the Cavs in Game 2. We saw, even last night, we saw them go on, like I said, in the third quarter when they went on a run when they exploded at the start of the second half. This is a Pacers team that is going to be around, that is going to bring it every single game offensively. And they might have that bad offensive game, but the only way to beat them is, for example, that Donovan Mitchell 45-point game, or that Gary Trent Jr. 38-point game that Milwaukee had, the one game that they won. Truly, that is how good the Pacers are. You have to beat them at their own game. Celtics did it. I don't think anybody else in the Eastern Conference has it. And there might be an argument that nobody in the Western Conference has it. I don't think the Thunder have the shooters that the Pacers have. I don't think that the Timberwolves have the shooters that the Pacers have. Definitely not the Warriors. The only team that maybe has an opportunity to beat them is the Nuggets. Which team do you support? My name you can pronounce as Gotham from Batman. That was really funny. All right, Gotham, I got you, man. Which team do you support? Which team do I support? I don't have it. Do I still have the jersey here? I think I hung it. Did I hang it back up? I must have hung it back up. No. I got you, man. I had to bring this out yesterday. If you haven't seen the stream yesterday, where I had to give Jason Tatum a eulogy, go back and check that out. That was yesterday. I gave them a little bit of a eulogy earlier in the show today too. But the Celtics are my team. They always have been. And honestly, the Pacers are equal. I'm not saying they're equal. Obviously, I'm from Boston, but the Indiana is one of those teams that I think Indiana is one of those well-balanced, constructed, homegrown constructed teams. They got the Aaron Nesmiths of the world, the Halliburton's, even Halliburton. Halliburton was one of those guys that didn't even have a home in Sacramento. Sacramento just shipped him off because they didn't want to pay him. I think that was the biggest reason why they ended up trading Halliburton back in the day. But outside of Nesmith and Siakam, this is all homegrown talent in Indiana. Miles Turner's been on that team for 10 years. TJ McConnell, Obi Top, this is a bunch of teams. These are a bunch of guys that were known as pretty much cast-offs that come together in Indiana, have created a nucleus, have created a core, have created a culture there, and are just really showing it off right now in Indiana. So major props to them. They're going to continue to grow as a team, as collectively, as a culture, and I think they're going to be one of the best. They're probably my favorites to come out of the Eastern Conference Finals. But I'm going to take another short break. Coming up next, I'm going to switch gears over to the Minnesota Timberwolves Golden State Warriors series. I think we haven't Steph Curry's hamstring is the best kept secret in San Francisco right now. And funny enough, that is literally the headline of my next segment. That is why I said that. But he truly is. We have not heard a peep about Steph Curry's hamstring from anybody in the organization. We saw that one clip with Anthony Edwards and Gary Payton II talking on the sideline in Game 3. But outside of that, I'm not a lips transcriber. I couldn't really understand what they were saying. That is the only time that we've even seen the conversation happen. So who knows? Maybe we see a surprise Steph Curry return tonight. I wouldn't be surprised with this team on the brink of elimination. They really need him. But without that, there is another player I want to key on, and we're going to talk about that in the next segment coming up. You're watching the GSMC Basketball Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Don't go anywhere.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Meir Fatemi. In this next segment here, we have to talk about the Warriors and Timberwolves. Not only, well, we're going to talk about the Warriors-Timberwolves series. We don't have to. But this is a series that we honestly expected a lot more from. Plain and simple. We expected to see... Hold on, let me fix my chair. I'm so sorry, guys. This is a series that we expected to see a young Anthony Edwards that is quote-unquote the legend killer taking out Kevin Durant last year, taking out Nikola Jokic and the defending champs last year. Losing in the conference finals, obviously, to the Dallas Mavericks who ended up going to the finals. Going up against LeBron James and taking him out in 5 games. And now pushing this Warriors team to the brink of elimination in 5 games, going back to Minnesota tonight. This series is pretty much over. I mean, not only are the Warriors not on their home floor, not only have they dropped both games in Golden State. I said it the second Steph Curry got hurt. The second we heard Steph Curry was probably going to come back around Game 5 or Game 6, which we're around right now, around that timeline. What is the one thing that I said? You guys can go back to the videos. Golden State has to win one of the next 3 games. Game 2, I gave you a pass because similar to the way the Thunder came out in Game 2 against the Nuggets and beat them by 40, just wiped the floor with them. The Timberwolves had to do the same thing. They'd just been embarrassed in Game 1. We're down by 20 points without Steph Curry in the lineup. Get embarrassed in Game 1 on their home floor. Come out and punch the Warriors in the mouth in Game 2. You expected it. It is what it is. Game 3, Jimmy Butler goes off for 38 points. Jonathan Kuminga goes off for 30 points. The rest of the team doesn't have more than 15 points on it for the third option. Like, when you have something like that for a Warriors team, it just proves why... It proves why Steph Curry needed Jimmy Butler, and it proves why the Warriors need Steph Curry. Plain and simple. They need the duo of Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler to be healthy, to get not only the rest of the guys more open shots, but to have success as a whole. Because this offense is very inconsistent in Golden State. We saw it in the Rockets series when they lost Game 2 by 30, when they lost Game 5 by 30, when they lost Game 6 on their home floor, when they almost lost Game 3. I think it was Game 3 when they... It was either Game 3 or Game 4. It was the 3-point finish. I think it was 108-98 was the final score. I think it was Game 3. Regardless, this is why they need a second guy. This is why they need Steph Curry, why they needed why they brought Jimmy Butler onto this team. to give that whoever is able to lead the team another guy to rely upon. So it's not just him, especially in the playoffs when defenses will force other guys to take shots, will force another guy to take a shot. They will leave Draymond Green open from 3. They will leave Jonathan Kuminga from 3. They will roll the dice sometimes on Buddy Hield to start games. Why? Because Buddy Hield is one of those inconsistent players. We saw Game 7 he showed up. We saw Game 1 he showed up. But those are abnormalities sometimes. We're not always going to see the 30, 35 point Buddy Hield performance every game. It's just not going to happen. Sometimes you have those 14, 15 point games like we've seen over the last 2 games or so. So, like I said, this comes down to the health of Steph Curry. And I'm being so serious when I say Steph Curry's hamstring is the best kept secret in San Francisco right now. There is not a better best kept secret. Nobody's heard a peep about it. The only thing we've heard is from The Athletic talking about what happened in aftermath when he pulled that hamstring. When they said that he was crying in the locker room with Steve Kerr. That is the only thing that we've heard. Outside of that, we've seen Anthony Edwards and Gary Payton II have a little bit of a conversation on the sideline about it. And I wish I had the transcription of that. I don't have it on me right now. I wish I did. I'm so sorry. But this is a Warriors team that is going through it right now with injuries. They're missing their star player. They're missing their best player. Jimmy Butler. Do I really want to attack Jimmy Butler right now? This is the same Jimmy Butler that went off for 38 points in Game 3. But in Game 4, there was an APB out for Jimmy Butler. That is why it's so tough to attack him because I know I'm not attacking him, but it's tough to get on him because he is this is a guy that jumped on the team in a midseason trade, was supposed to be a Robin to Steph Curry's Batman, was supposed to take a step back in the offense, and has been thrust into the role of playoff Jimmy, be playoff Jimmy, carry us to a win. And sometimes that's fine. But when you have a guy that just joins a team for 2 months, you don't really expect a whole lot from him. It's the same way. It's a similar situation to what Luka had to go through in Dallas. Jimmy might have wanted to leave Miami, so that's different. But we saw some issues with chemistry between Luka and LeBron because they didn't have a whole lot of time to practice and grow that chemistry around one another. Didn't have a lot of time to figure it out on the court. They did. There was some spurts of it, but it was never consistent. This offseason will help build that consistency with those two. And I think it'll do the same for Steph and Jimmy. I think they work well off of each other regardless, but especially when these guys, especially when Steph Curry's out of the lineup, you can't just expect Jimmy Butler to be like, oh, it's my team. I just got traded here 3 months ago. I just need to carry them. It's like being a new hire to a job and the boss looks at you and says, hey, we just lost our best. Say you're a restaurant chef and you apply to McDonald's as a secondhand job. Never happened. But just be hypothetical with me here. And say, the boss looks at you and says, hey, we just lost our shift leader. We just lost the franchise owner looks at you and says, we just lost our GM. Can you carry us? Can you be our next GM? Can you be our interim GM, please? And you're just a chef that knows a lot, but is just on the team for a short period of time, or is just on the job for a short period of time. That is what Jimmy Butler is being thrusted into. It's a bad example, but it's pretty much exactly what he's going through right now. So, Game 4, he only had 14 points. That is why I'm getting on him. Because Game 4, you're down 2-1. Going back to Minnesota, you really need a game. We're still kind of waiting on that Jimmy Butler 40-point game, and I could still see it tonight. There is a world. But it needs to happen for this Warriors team to have an opportunity. Who knows? Maybe we see the miraculous comeback of Steph Curry tonight. And if that happens, these Warriors still have a chance. But I'm still not picking them. No. That is not what I'm doing here. I'm not picking the Warriors to win this game tonight. I can't. not in Minnesota, not with how they've been playing over the last 3 games, not even if they have a hobbled Steph Curry on the court with them. I can't say it. I can't. Because this is how good the Minnesota Timberwolves have played unbelievable basketball all playoffs long. They beat the Lakers in 5 games. This is a little bit of an abnormality, obviously, this season, but they've pushed this Warriors team to the brink of elimination in 5 games. They were incredibly hot to finish the regular season. This is an Anthony Edwards that's had multiple 40-point games. This is a Julius Randle that's having the best playoffs of his career right now. This is a Rudy Gobert that had a 27-point, 24-rebound game in Game 5 against the Lakers, which we've still been waiting to see that big game against the Warriors. We haven't seen it yet, but we know it's coming. This is a Warriors team that's incredibly hobbled. And this is a Timberwolves team that is just growing in front of our very eyes. They're growing. They're ready to go right now. They're in the peak. They're in the prime of their performance right now. And the problem is, we haven't even seen that Anthony Edwards, Steph Curry, or we've seen the Anthony Edwards, Luka Doncic duel, but we haven't seen him go back and forth. We haven't seen him go back and forth with someone down the stretch. For example, how Jokic and Shea did last night in the 4th quarter of that game. How it was just both of those guys put the ball in my hands and asked me to go get a bucket. We haven't seen that from Anthony Edwards. We haven't. We've seen the 1-point first halves and then coupled with a 24-point second half. That's what we've seen. And whether that has to do with Steve Kerr making adjustments in the first half and then Chris Finch coming out in the second half and making adjustments for Anthony Edwards, regardless of what it might be. We haven't seen Anthony Edwards at his peak performance yet. We've just seen him we've seen spurts of it, but I think he can play better than what we've seen, is what I'm saying. Gotham, I see you put another chat in the chat here. I see a monster game from Jimmy tonight to force Game 6. He needs to have a monster game in Game 6 tonight, or in Game 5 tonight, or else this series is over. Even if you have Steph Curry on the court tonight, Jimmy Butler has to be Batman. You can't rely upon a hobbled Steph Curry to be Batman for this team right now, especially if he came back tonight. There's going to be no word about Steph Curry, I promise you, until about 5-6 o'clock tonight. Because they're going to keep it as a secret up until tip-off. I really think so. That's what they're going to... That's the plan. But, yeah, he needs to have one of those... He needs... Like, if you can think back to Game 6 against the Celtics in 2023, when he went off for 45 points to force a Game 7 back in Miami. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go look it up. That is the Jimmy Butler that needs to show up tonight. That is the playoff Jimmy that we know can show up from time to time. That Game 5 against Milwaukee, he didn't really have a great playoffs against us in 2024. He wasn't in the playoffs. 2023 was Game 6. 2022, he had a couple 40 points. But 2020, I don't know. You know what I'm saying. Jimmy Butler needs to have that monster game tonight if they want to have an opportunity. But this segment has drawn on way too long. I got to take a short break. Coming up next, we got to go back, switch gears over back to the Boston Celtics. We have to talk about the state of affairs in Boston right now. We have to talk about the group. I hinted at it in the first segment. We need to talk about what to expect, not only from the group of guys tonight, but give a little bit of a sneak peek in what's to come in the offseason. You're watching the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mayor Fatemi. Getting into our last segment of the show here, we got to talk about the Boston Celtics. What's next for the Boston Celtics? Their keys to Game 5, if they even have an opportunity to win Game 5 tonight. I'm not picking them, but the keys to Game 5 tonight, as well as a sneak peek into the offseason. Yeah, I think we have to start with, if we're going to talk, let's start with Game 5. Because I think as we go into that other section of the other section of this segment, it might drag on a little bit longer. Keys to Game 5, it has to be Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown needs to step up without Jason Tatum in the lineup. It has to be a collective step up to keep up with the rest of the guys in Boston right now. Thank you, Wanda. It's really about Jaylen Brown. It's about Jaylen Brown. It's about Derek White. I would say it's about Kristaps Porzingis, but he's not showed up at all this series. We know he's a little bit injured, or he's dealing with an illness right now. It's been kind of circulating around the team right now, around the front office. A lot of people have been talking about it. We don't know exactly what's going on with Kristaps Porzingis, but hopefully he's feeling a little bit better, because he needs to. If the Celtics are going to win this game, he needs to step up. It needs to be collectively as a team to force a Game 6 back in New York. And honestly, take it one game by game. If you're the Boston Celtics, you need to take it one game at a time to even have a chance in this series. This series is 98% over. This is coming from a Celtics fan. The Knicks have outplayed us in every category in this series. And whether that has to do with injuries, Kristaps Porzingis' illness, whatever the case may be, they have outplayed us in every single category. Shooting, rebounding, physicality, hustling to extra boards, just overall team flow, team chemistry. I'm going to go back to Game 2 here. If you guys think back to Game 2 again, and for that final shot with Jason Tatum, with Jason Tatum's last possession in that game, Jason Tatum pretty much dribbled up the court, dribbled into the corner, and everybody sat around and watched him, just like statues. If that team shows up again tonight in Game 5, the Celtics are getting blown out by 20 points. If the Celtics decide to show up in Game 1 and like the team that showed up in Game 1 and just jack up threes, it's going to be another 20-point loss. If they try and play the same game, which I know they can, like the Knicks play, hustle basketball, getting to the paint, trying to get rhythm shots to get their guys like Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, OG Anunoby in rhythm before they start shooting threes, start taking open shots and hitting open shots, they have an opportunity to force a Game 6 back in New York. And who knows what can happen from there. I'm not picking it. This is coming from a Celtics fan. I'm not picking it. I'm not saying it's going to happen. There's probably a 10% chance that there's a Game 6 in this series. But there is another part of this conversation that we need to talk about, and it's honestly segues me very well into the next part of this segment. This is probably the last time that we're going to see this group of guys together. Al Horford is 38 years old. He's probably going to retire in the offseason. We've already heard rumors from ownership, with the new ownership in Boston, that there's going to be some cost cut. There's going to be some cost cutting in Boston this offseason. Drew Holiday is probably going to be traded. Kristaps Porzingis' name has already been thrown around in trades. We're now even seeing Jaylen Brown's name being tossed around, even though I don't know how much I believe that, but his name has been thrown around a little bit. On top of that, Jason Tatum just tears his Achilles. He's going to be done for 2 years. We're not going to see Jason Tatum back on the court till 2027. And that is the guy that you gave almost $400 million to. So if you're the Boston Celtics, you have to figure something out. You have to kind of reshape the culture, reshape the roster to keep competing with the rest of the Eastern Conference. It's the only way to figure it out. And ownership, it's a big reason why Wyc Grousbeck probably, it's not 100% confirmed, but it's probably a big reason why Wyc Grousbeck decided to sell the team, because the starting lineup is worth almost $1 billion. So, yeah, Game 5 tonight is really a celebration of this team. 2 years of work. They won a championship in 2023 or in 2024. This could possibly be Jaylen Brown's last game in a Celtics uniform. This is most likely KP's last game in a Celtics uniform. Al Horford, a Celtics legend that's been with the team for the last 11 plus years. It might be 12 years. I can't remember exactly when they traded him. I think it's 10 years. I think it's 10 years. But Al Horford's obviously been on the team for the last 10 years, has been here, has gone through the rebuild process, has won a championship, has done everything. And the only reason he stayed for another year is to try and go for that back-to-back title, which the Celtics had an opportunity to do. But with Jason Tatum's injury, with how the team has been playing down the stretch here, blowing multiple 20-point leads in this series, at some point, father time catches up with you. And that is one thing we've also seen from Horford. He's also lost a little bit of that burst, a little bit of that physicality in the interior. This is probably the last time that we're going to see Horford in the Celtics uniform. And TD Garden is probably going to give him a standing ovation tonight to finish the game. But yeah, there was a lot of moves coming in the offseason. Quickly, just running down the line, there have been a couple teams that have been talking about the core guys of the Celtics. Starting with Porzingis, we've seen the Lakers being interested in him. Obviously, the Lakers need a center, so I'm not shocked that his name has been linked to Los Angeles. Another team that could be really interesting in terms of Jaylen Brown, that honestly, it came out last night, and the more I think about it, the more it makes sense. The Houston Rockets are one of those teams that's an offensive piece away. The Houston Rockets are head coached by the guy that was the head coach of the Boston Celtics in 2022. The guy that brought the Celtics to an NBA Finals in 2022. The guy that kind of built Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown's skills. That really put them up to that really leveled them up to the level they are now. Brought them from the 2021 team that got bounced out in the first round to the Nets, to the team that went all the way up to the NBA Finals. I would not be shocked if Jaylen Brown gets traded there. Jaylen Brown obviously loves Ime Udoka. Ime Udoka means a lot to this Celtics roster. He always has. He always will. So how this all shakes out, I think the Rockets are definitely in line for him. The Spurs could be in line for him to pair Wembanyama and De'Aaron Fox with Jaylen Brown. I think that team would be lethal. That team would be unbelievable, really, especially if they added Dylan Harper as your shooting guard with Steven Castle, the Rookie of the Year. That team would be deadly in San Antonio if that happens. So their name is also linked. And then, I mean, I could say one other scenario. Do I want to say it? Yeah, well, I'll say it. Why not? I'm not saying this is going to happen, and honestly, this would probably shock the NBA, but with how Luka shocked the NBA with Dallas trading Luka to LA, is there a world that Giannis gets traded to Boston, especially with the assets that the Celtics have, with Drew, with Kristaps, with Jaylen Brown, with the first-round picks that they have? Could they build a team around Giannis, Jason Tatum, Derek White, Peyton Pritchard? You can bring Shire. You can continue to grow with Shireman, your first-round pick last year that did not get a lot of playing time for the Celtics this year, but he is a great shooter. He was an unbelievable shooter for Creighton last year, or 2 years ago. So there are guys for the Celtics team on the bench. There are some hidden gems that could be unlocked with some of these trades. So it could work out. But the Celtics are definitely looking to cost cut, and there are going to be significant changes in the offseason. So it's going to be interesting to see how everything shakes out with the Celtics. But that's all I got for you guys today. We got Celtics-Knicks Game 5 later tonight at 7 o'clock. We got Warriors-Timberwolves at 10 o'clock. two series, both at 3-1, 3-1 Knicks, 3-1 Timberwolves, both teams looking to clinch their spot in the conference finals. The Eastern Conference Finals looking to lock up with the Indiana Pacers, really awaiting this matchup. And yeah, it's going to be two unbelievable games, I think. Celtics is going to be a celebration. I think the Warriors will have something to say about the Timberwolves. So everything will be close. Predictions, Knicks win by 10+, and the Timberwolves probably win by 5+. It'll be a closer game, but I think the Timberwolves wipe the floor with the Warriors tonight. I really think so. But thank you for watching the GSMC Basketball Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to leave a positive review in the comments below. It really does make a difference more than you guys think. Let us know what we're doing well. Let us know what we can improve upon so we can continue to create a better product for you guys and continue to grow the podcast family like we have over the last month and a half I've been working here. Please, for more content and updates, remember to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more updates. More games later tonight. I'll be right back here at 9 a.m. tomorrow. This is the host of the GSMC Basketball Podcast, signing off. Bye-bye.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to